Welcome to the Red, White, and Rude podcast, where we're just not skimming the surface of celebrity life. We're diving deep into the abyss. Because when it comes to Diddy's down low adventures, we're the only ones brave or foolish enough to ask what really went down. Expect more twist than the pretzel factory and more shock value than a Diddy white party after the kids go to bed. Today, we're exploring the wild, the weird, and the downright what the hell were you thinking with Diddy's alleged freak offs? Because when it comes to juicy gossip and secretive gatherings, we're all ears, no holds barred, and definitely not keeping it on the down low. The saga of Sean Diddy Combs. Now, that's a story that could only unfold in a universe where reality TV and legal dramas decided to have a baby. And that baby grew up to be a hip hop mogul with more plot twists than a telenovela. I can picture the title and opening song already. Amor fraternal. El hermano cantando, necesito mi aceite de bebé para un poco de amor de prostata. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's a man whose life has taken more turns than Liberace and all his lovers. So Diddy's currently enjoying the all-inclusive package at the Oops the Metropolitan Detention Center, not for tax evasion, but for a laundry list of allegations that sound like they were ripped from the script of a noir film we would call the hotspot, the Hershey Highway, but with more baby oil than you'd shake a sausage at. Speaking of baby oil, if there's one thing Diddy's legal troubles have taught us, it's that baby oil isn't just for babies anymore. Apparently, it's now a key prop in legal testimonies, suggesting Diddy's parties were less about music and more about, well, let's say, slip and slide activities that didn't involve water parks. What can I say, people? I crack myself up. If there's a book on how to make your legal troubles sound like a Kama Sutra chapter, Diddy's life could be the inspiration. From allegations of freak off sessions to parties where the only thing harder than the music was, well, you get the picture. Diddy's life has been more down low than a submarine in the Mariana Trench. Not because he's hiding his dance moves, but well, you get the picture there too. Imagine this, a music mogul so big and tough, yet there he was letting Jennifer Lopez carry his gun because nothing screams, I'm a big man and in charge, quite like having your ex girlfriend handle your firepower, turning what could have been a hip hop opera into a comedic ballet of city heat. Who's really packing? So here we are with Diddy, turning his life into a legal soap opera where every episode ends with to be continued on court TV. If there's one thing Diddy's proven, it's that his life is more entertaining than any reality show could dream of being, with more drama, more flair, more love on the down low, and certainly more legal fees than anyone could ever anticipate. You know what? After it's said and done, it's more likely that his lawyer will have bent him over the worst with legal fees. So Diddy, keep spinning those beats, or at least keep buying that baby oil because you'll be spinning that backside for your new friends in the pen. After all, who needs a hit single when you've got a captive audience ready for your next hit? Jailhouse Bop. Hello, everybody. This is William Del Pilar, and this is the Red, White, and Rude, where politics and pop culture collide. And I'm here to break it all down for you. This episode, we will be talking about the one, the only P. Diddy. There's some good shots of P. Diddy and his various incantations. I mean, look at him. He's looking pretty sharp there, I must say, you know. Nice pink suit. Can't argue that. Looking jamming there with a black leather and the good old facial shot there. Well, that's who P. Diddy is. He's quite the character, quite the American dream, at least early on. So we're going to talk a little bit about P. Diddy. Before we do, though, let me remind you, you can find this podcast and others like it at grumblingsmedia.com. You can find us on social media platforms such as Rumble, YouTube, Apple, Spotify y Pandora under the handle Grumblings Media. Do not forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this podcast and our other ones. We give out a lot of detailed information, to be quite honest. So what we're gonna do is talk about Sean Puffy Combs, or Diddy as he's now called. We're gonna quickly, no, we're not quickly, but you can't go into it into detail because man, his life could be made into a 5 year series. So we're gonna touch on his past, where he's at today, and all these charges. So this podcast isn't necessarily for the hip hop follower. It's more for the individual who knows who he is, who's aware of hip hop, the music. We all know a few songs here and there, but in essence, this isn't part of our culture, part of our life. So I'm going to break all that down for you. As a Latino, I got to be honest. I'm not even into salsa much. I'm a classic rock. I became very Americanized with music. The Sugar Hill Gang had the first commercial hit rap song, and I actually had that in my classic music that I always listened to. But that's about it. That, maybe a few others. But I've not been a big hip hop, but it's massively popular amongst all cultures. So it's something that has been around and will remain for quite a long time now. So let's talk about the rise of Sean Puffy Combs. So it was the early 1990s. Sean Combs began his career in the music industry as an intern at Uptown Records. That was the early 1990s. By 1993, he was fired, and that's when his life actually began. In a way, he founded Bad Boy Entertainment after being fired, and then came the Biggie era, and that was from March 1994 to 1997. Bad Boy Records, it became a powerhouse. They had artists like Biggie, Mary J. Blige, and Faith Evans. I knew Biggie, I knew Blige. I had to look up Faith Evans. Again, was not my scene, but some of these names transcended hip hop and got to be known just because of the drama. I mean, that was some serious gang type drama back in the day. And then March 9th, 1997, Biggie, again, gang like drama. Biggie is tragically killed in a drive-by shooting in L.A. So people thought it was connected to the East Coast West Coast hip hop rivalry. Some theories suggest it was retaliation for Tupac Shakur's murder 6 months earlier. And with Diddy's arrest, that's in the news again. And even the family is like, they haven't commented on it. They've hired a high price attorney to start looking into the potential connection there. In fact, retired LAPD detective Greg Kading alleges that Marion Suge Knight orchestrated the murder. That I don't know, but I know Suge Knight, I think he's in jail still. But so ramifications for all this professionally. Well, Diddy's former bodyguards alleged someone from their crew helped facilitate the shooting. Diddy did release a song in 1997, "I'll Be Missing You." At this point, I don't know if that's a down low love ballad or or if it's really a tribute to Biggie. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic, people. So I was just telling my better half, about Biggie, Beyonce, some of these black rappers. They were great businessmen, and that's why Diddy has had the success. Now, what I find ironic is with their record labels, they created a lot of these record labels on the premise, we're tired of the white man taking us to the cleaners as black artists, yada, yada, yada. And then the black artists leading their own record labels did the same thing to their own clients, to the people they had in the contract. I'm telling you, people, The only color that matters is green. If you think you're black and he's going to take care of you because you're black, you're a moron. The only color he cares about is the color green. White on white, Latino on Latino, cross it all over. When money's involved, that's the only color that matters, green. How much longer, for how many more generations will we be able to say that? Who knows? Because the way they want to put everything on digital, and people, that's bad. It may be convenient, but they're going to track your ass and take your money whenever they want. So his business, speaking of his business ventures and the success that started to happen in 1998, he launched his own fashion line, Sean John. 2007, he became brand ambassador for Ciroc vodka. Uh, Sean John reached 450 million in sales in 2016. Ciroc vodka grew from 75,000 to 2.6 million cases by 2014. He created a partnership with the Leon Tequila. He also launched Revolt TV. So the guy was busy. And busy in a good way, in an American dream way. He invested in Aqua Hydrate with Mark Wahlberg. That was acquired by the Alkaline Water Company. So, he made a lot of bank off that. And we're going to get into some of the celebrities. But Wahlberg is one celebrity. You haven't heard anything negative and anything bad in terms of, any shenanigans. Wahlberg seems to go to his own tune. Very Christian, God-fearing guy. My wife watched that Wahlberg reality series of The Passion, a few years back when she discovered it. They had already gone off the air, I think, but she loved it. By 2022, his estimated net worth reaches $1 billion. So the guy was flying high, and God bless him at the time, in terms of the American dream, not what he became or actually what he was. But what I'm trying to say is the American dream is there. I was listening to Ben Shapiro earlier tonight, and I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan. I, you can learn from. I'm in my 50s, and this young man can teach me about how to handle leftists. So whenever I see him, Charlie Kirk, and others, when they're on those college campuses, just ripping the kids a new one, I don't listen to them because I get pleasure in ripping them a new one. I listen to them and how they do it. And Shapiro is just one of these well-read guys. Dave Smith, the libertarian, Big John, my business partner, isn't a big fan, but he even acknowledges how good of a libertarian debater he is because he reads. The problem with libertarians is they don't live in the real world. They live in a utopian fantasy. They're okay with your kid dying, her kid dying, everybody dying, as long as their philosophy gets their way. Until they have to live under the philosophy they talk about. Let's have a copless society and see how long it goes before we start breaking down and shooting one another. Because if there's no accountability, be a lot of dead people. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So let's talk about Diddy and the White Party. So on September 7th, 1998, Combs hosts his first white party in East Hampton, New York. From 98 to 2009, from 98 to 2009, it becomes an annual event. It moves from exclusive locations like East Hampton, Beverly Hills, St. Tropez. It's a strictly all-white dress code. And he had a lot of notable celebrities there. Paris Hilton, Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio, Khloe Kardashian, Jennifer Lopez, Kim Kardashian, Chris Brown, and the Reverend Al Sharpton. The only God he prays to is a God called money. So Diddy reportedly announced when the real party would start, and that's after the kids left. Now, here's one thing you need to understand with all the news that's come out. And you're going to hear a lot of celebrities are going to try to get covered up. I mean, they're going to pay off people who are going to accuse them. But being seen, see, this happened with Jeffrey Epstein. When you hit a certain social circuit, you're always taking pictures. Don't confuse the pictures with somebody for them actually being tight. Do I know Bannon? Steve Bannon? No, but I got my picture taken with him once. Joe Rapaio, the sheriff, I got my picture taken with him. Ted Cruz got my picture taken. Were we buds? No, they're at events. You get your picture taken. That happens a lot. So don't confuse some of these. Now, the Reverend Al Sharpton, I wouldn't think he'd be involved in any of this because the only thing he loves is the only thing he'll make love to. I mean, his the Reverend Al Sharpton's version of porn is watching money on the screen, so I don't expect he would have been involved in any of these type of things. Leonardo DiCaprio, he may be a freak, but the guy can get his own women, So I'm not trying to defend these people as we don't know, so don't assume. So so the white parties ended it right around 2009. So let's talk about some of the legal troubles. So let's go back a little bit in time to December 1999. Combs and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez. I alluded to it in my monologue. In terms of he gave her the gun, is what the theory holds, and he was actually involved in the shooting. There was a shooting at a club in New York, and where he and Jennifer Lopez. He went to trial in March 2000. 2001 he was acquitted on the weapons charges. Yeah, like I said, it was Jennifer Lopez had the gun, but some witnesses are witnesses to this day. To this day, you will find them in interviews like last week, still stating, "I saw Diddy fire that gun." So rapper Shine took the rap, went to prison. In 2010, he got out, so he went to prison for like 9 years. He signed a $1 million deal after prison. And per rapper Mark Curry, that was orchestrated by Diddy as a way to thank Shine for serving prison sentence. Almost 9 years. I'm sorry. Diddy's worth a lot of bank. I'm like, it's $1 million a year, bro. It's $1 million a year. I'm coming out with 9 million, and that's tax free, brother. I don't care how you do it. Yeah. I mean, that would have destroyed Diddy. It would have destroyed him. He became a billionaire like in what, 2019, 2020, 2022, right around there. I mean, that would have just derailed his whole career. Nobody would have touched him afterwards. So what about his name? I mean, when he first came on the scene, I always, to me, he's always been Puff Daddy, and I got it with the name changes and things of that nature, but he was always Puff Daddy. And, why did he go through all these name changes? Well, personal reinvention. Each name change often coincided with a significant personal event or transformation in Combs' life, such as overcoming legal issues, or I'm evolving as a Northeast. These people get crazy. I mean, never forget Prince's name. You couldn't even pronounce it. The symbol. Prince was a nut job. The fact that he died at such a young age did not shock me. The guy just, woo, he was way out there. Great singer, phenomenal singer, my era singer. Him and Michael Jackson were the bomb. But anyway, so each name change coincided with a significant personal events or transformation in Combs' life, such as overcoming legal issues. Oh, hold on one second here. So it was also a connection with fans. Simplifying his name was also aimed at enhancing that connection. And it also makes him easier to say his name, to remember his name. It's also marketing and branding. He just kept trying to reinvent himself. So, what were some of these name changes? He went in the late 90s, known as Puff Daddy. That was derived from his childhood. And then he went to P. Diddy in 2001 after legal troubles. I need a fresh start. 2005, he dropped a P just to become Diddy. That's what I kind of call him now, Diddy. But if you go to the UK, yo, Diddy, you can't call me that. It's illegal. I got to be called P. Diddy for legal issues. In 2017, he announced he would go by Love or Brother Love or whatever. In 2021, he legally changed his name to Sean Love Combs. That's also a sign of insecurity in certain ways. He's so afraid he won't be remembered. He wants, who knows? Anyway, let's get to the Freak Off podcast. The court of legal action against Diddy. First of all, it involves the claims of organized sexual encounters called the Freak Off. And these events allegedly involve sex workers. And here's the interesting thing about sex workers. When I thought sex workers, I'm thinking, well, prostitutes. Well, no, sex workers are also porn stars, escorts, and prostitutes. So they're all three. Let's just put it this way. I wouldn't want to put my wee wee in any of them. Not because they're not beautiful, not because anything that's like could fall off a day later. So these events allegedly involve sex workers, drugs, and alcohol, with some participants coerced or non-consensually filmed. And we'll get into that in a bit. So these began around 2009, and that coincided with the end of Diddy's white parties. It was described in the indictment as elaborate and produced sex performances. It's like he was doing a porn shoot there without people knowing it. And they mentioned that 27 times in a 14-page indictment. So they're really pushing that act quite a bit, and it's going to be heavily pushed probably during during the trial. So these freak offs allegedly lasted multiple days and involved multiple sex workers. Look, I'm an ex sailor and I'm impressed by that, man. So events were reportedly held at hotels and Diddy's residences. You really do have to have a big place to hold these. I mean, you're talking tons of people, or you're 50, 60, who knows, but it's not something you can go to a house with a 4 or 5 bedroom. So, what was Diddy's alleged role? Well, he's accused of arranging, directing, and participating in sexual activities. He's a hands on director, people. He allegedly used force, threats of force, or coercion to make the victims engage in prolonged acts. I'm sure there was some Viagra there, too. You know, what was used? Physical force. And right now, we don't know a lot about the details, but the indictment suggests Diddy may have used physical force to compel the victims to participate in sexual acts against their will. Threats, allegedly threatened victims to coerce their participation. So, what does that mean? Well, this could have included threats of violence, again, the physical force, career sabotage. This is what I'm talking about earlier. A lot of these the smart, savvy black businessmen said we're starting our own record labels because we don't like how Whitey has used and abused us, and they were absolutely correct. When I saw these record producers and companies taking songs that blacks had written in the 50s and then changing it and putting their names. It was disgusting beyond reproach. But guess what? They did the same thing with their own record labels in the present time. It's just a racket. Again, the only color that people care about, people, is green, the color green. Whether you're black, Latino, white, Asian, whatever. There are corrupt, seedy people, and they're not going to take care of you. Hey, brother, I'm going to take care of you. Your brother can take care of your brother. No. Te voy a cuidar. No. Yo, bro, come on, I'm taking. No. Human nature can be vile, and it does not discriminate by culture, color, or religion. Okay, drug coercion was also involved. The indictment states Diddy distributed controlled substances like ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB to keep victims obedient and compliant. In essence, what the drugs do is lower your inhibition and impair your ability not only to consent, meaning you can easily be swayed, but to physically resist. A lot of murders have been done after drugs have been given. So Diddy alleged, and then obviously blackmail. He allegedly recorded the free calls without many victims' knowledge, and there's rumors of videos going around for sale. We don't know. Most of those are probably garbage in terms of just rumors. But the U.S. attorney stated he used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak off as collateral against the victim. So what I just said about the rumors going around, those are from people trying to get a buck or sell them. If the U.S. attorney is stating this, then they have video. There's no doubt about that. So the U.S. attorney was applying blackmail to ensure the continued participation or silence. And blackmail could mean anything from a studly man like the old Rock Hudson image. All of a sudden they'd be going on the down low, or a woman, 2 or 3 guys, just stuff you don't want to get out there. And I get it. As the next sailor, it's you hear and you see these stories. So we can be primal, especially when you're younger. So, but this man took it to a level of vile and evil versus, hey, let's just go have fun. When I talk about it from my not my perspective, but oops, from how I view it, it's the hippie area. Make love, have fun. Diddy's talking about it, from a very vile and evil place. So the duration of the acts, the phrase prolonged sex acts indicates that victims were forced to engage in sexual activities for extended periods. Again, Viagra was probably involved, a lot of drugs involved. He jokingly said whether it was Letterman or Conan talking about needing a lot of water. Keep these people, full of water. Can't let them get dehydrated. But we're talking possibly days at a time, as already mentioned in the indictment. So the use of sex workers, here's where it gets dicey. Because while they say sex workers, meaning they could be legal escorts, porn stars, supposedly Diddy allegedly force victims to engage in sex as forced with male commercial sex workers. And that's sexual coercion. And that's humiliation. Again, that's where the blackmail of the video comes in. Hey, yeah, you were humiliated here in this. There was a video, it was fake. It was an audio of Diddy going at it with another guy. That's probably the greatest fear some of these men have if that happened. You know, so some of the specifics mentioned include group sexual activities, multiple partners simultaneously. Again, controlled substances help move these along, and there were the power dynamics. So here's what I mean by the power dynamics. I told my rotator cuff, slight tear. I'm feeling it. Oof. So the power dynamics, as a powerful figure in the music industry, Diddy may have exploited his position. In fact, he did exploit his position, if this is true, and that's common, even in non-sexual, non-evil, non-vile ways. It's power is corrupt. So he may have exploited his position to coerce aspiring artists or industry professionals into participating. You know who I am? I mean, we see what politicians all the time when they get stopped with cops. We saw it with Mike Barmore of the Patriots. You know who I am? Thinking I'm bigger than you, man, or Tyreek Hill. You know who I am? And then the guy lying after you do it. I'm beating him. And he's sitting on the curb, not being beat at all. But they were trying to lie to show the power dynamics of the cops abusing Tyreek Hill. But Diddy, if any of this is true, the allegations, and yes, it was power dynamics. Diddy used his power of who he was and where he was at in life in terms of stature to coerce people to do this with implied threats to their careers. And so all of this paints a picture of a systematic approach, systemic corruption to coercing and controlling victims through various means, from physical, psychological, to participate in these freak offs. And, Diddy, he's like, hey, I'm going to do it myself too, reportedly pleasured himself while watching the activities. Translation, he's a man in a chair stroking himself. So he's accused of filming victims engaging in sex acts, sometimes without their knowledge. That's a real big kicker. That's something, look, bro, I did not say no. I did not say yes, man. So we talked about drugs and the controlled substance. So I want to get into some of these. So the specific drugs mentioned in the indictment include ketamine. And what that is, that's a dissociative anesthetic causing hallucinations and detachment. Right? You're high, you're stoned, you're in a state of euphoria. Ecstasy, it's a stimulant enhancing mood, empathy, and sensory perception. At the end of the day, these things lower your inhibitions, and you're just in happy la la land in different ways depending on the drug. But they all put you in a euphoria of types. Then there's gamma hydroxybutyrate, GHB, and that's a depressant. Again, it's a depressant, but it causes euphoria and it lowers your inhibitions. Other drugs use the good old classic cocaine. Other unspecified narcotics, spiked drinks, which is probably GHB or something popped in there. And after events, again, the IV fluids to recover. So I mean, there was some serious stuff here. So law enforcement seized freak off supplies during the raid, including the narcotics again, over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, sex rooms with tons of sex toys and bondage gear. Hey man, Diddy wanted to make sure his guests were happy. Dildo anyone? So hidden cameras and blackmail. Allegations of hidden cameras in the sexual. This is going to be big. This is where the lawsuits are going to happen from the average Joe. The stars don't want it, but the average Joe's, they don't care. This is their payday. If all this is true, Diddy's billions is going to be gone. And not necessarily in legal fees. His lawyers are going to know what they're going to have to do. Because if they have this on video, there's no fighting that. There's like, shut up, here's $1 million, go away. Me, I'm going for the big shagoon, 10 million, again, he used these recordings to blackmail victims. And some of these videos they're said to be sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings. Again, collateral to ensure silence. So what are the legal implications? Well, all of this creates what's called sex trafficking, and that's the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act, often through force, fraud, or coercion. Racketeering conspiracy. That's an agreement between two or more people to commit a series of criminal acts as part of an ongoing criminal enterprise, often involving organized crime. That's where I'm wondering organized crime, unless Diddy himself was the organized crime with his cohorts. Transportation to engage in prostitution. Yeah, that's a no brainer with everything I've said. Not only transporting an individual across state lines or international borders with the intent that the individual engage in prostitution or any illegal sexual activity. If they didn't want to do it, it's illegal. Diddy has pleaded not guilty, Your Honor. If convicted on all three charges, Diddy will face life in prison. So, what are some of the additional allegations? Some victims reportedly held for days. We got to keep you, bro. You got to recover. We need to give you some fluids, and we need to keep you and those bruises out of the public's eye. Again, I already mentioned the four sex acts with male commercial sex workers. Casey, his woman, he was with her for like 10 years, his wife, I think, claimed Diddy would force her to engage in sex acts with male sex workers. This is somebody he loves, supposedly. The federal indictment alleges that freak offs often involve multiple commercial sex workers. See, that's not a big deal to me. What the big deal is if it was done without their consent or they were so drugged up they didn't know what they were doing, you know. And I'm not trying to sound callous or like a badass, but the reality, that's what it boils down to. So, and my thought process is correct because prosecutors claim Diddy coerced women to perform in orchestrated sex performances. Claims of sexual humiliation with the potential career opportunities. So I've already talked about that. Uh, there is one lawsuit. So there are claims that Diddy's exploited his position in the music industry. Lil Rod's lawsuit alleges he was groomed and pressured into sexual situations while working on Diddy's album. And the key word here is groomed too. That has a lot of connotations in it. That's gonna be interesting to see in court how that breaks down if they bring him in. But he's got a separate lawsuit going. So some of the recent allegations, investigations, and criminal charges. So this image I want to show you is why all of this is believable before we get into recent allegations. I didn't want to show the video because I didn't know what the copyright issues were. So here's an image, various image. As you can see here, right here, the man is kicking. He's kicking her. Here's a close shot right here, kicking her. Here he's standing over her. I mean, just a power figure, just standing over him. Here you can see, if you look in the mirror, you can't see here on the side, but you look in the mirror, he just grabs her by the hair, throws her down, and starts kicking her here. I mean, the man, this isn't something where you go, yeah, I'll apologize. I was just not myself. I am not that type of person. No, this is like Ray Rice decking his woman. And Ray Rice never came back from that. No matter how much remorse, no matter how many courses he took in anger therapy, his career was over. Part of the reason was because he hadn't been producing as well as a running back. He was kind of small anyway. So he was at his career, the door was closing on his career. So they helped shut it and slammed it shut. He never came back to the NFL. This makes that look like a walk in the park. This makes that look like Cinderella and the Prince, happily ever after. This was brutal. If you get a chance, just go to YouTube or X, and you will see the video on that. It is brutal. It's one of those things like, oh my god, because it is violence unlike anything you've seen before. So that came out before all of this happened. And since that comes out, normally you go, yeah, I don't know, it could be gold diggers, or maybe some are. But that is devastating. I mean, devastating. Okay. And Cassie. Let's see Cassie here. I got a picture of Cassie. So this is Cassie here. In November 2023, Cassandra Ventura files a lawsuit alleging abuse and sexual trafficking. It was settled within 24 to 48 hours, reporting for around 30 million. So here's how the story breaks down from what my research has shown. Cassie went to him and said, "Hey, look, I got a tell-all book coming out. You can get the exclusive rights to it." I saw somebody talking about this and then a few other people too. You can get the exclusive rights to it for $30 million. Not interested. No one's going to believe you. This video had yet to come out. Then I guess she went to a lawyer. Oh, you got a big, good old civil case here. She goes to him. I got a good civil case here. $30 million. He goes away. I'll see you in court. I'll see you in court. Lawsuit is filed. And again, settled within 24 to 48 hours. Here's what you don't understand, people. A lot of ignorant fools out there, the younger kids. Once it goes into court, it's public information. And that's what happened. And this alleged sexual assault, abuse, and sex trafficking over a decade-long relationship. He supposedly loved this woman. Beautiful woman. I hate to say it, he wore her out, chewed her up, and spit her out, and sent her on her way. She claimed Diddy beat her severely, as I said, forced her to have sex with male prostitutes and recorded encounters without consent. This woman was brutally abused, if this is true. She got her money. But what happened? That opened the door. I don't want my money. More money, more money, more money. November 2023, Joy Dickerson Neal files a lawsuit. Diddy drugged and sexually assaulted her in 91. It's filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act. November 2023, Jane Doe files a lawsuit alleging gang rape. Diddy and two other men gang raped her in 2003 when she was 17 and Diddy was 34. That's a minor. Alleges November 2023, Liza Gardner, sexual assault. No details provided. The Little Rod incident. Rodney Jones Jr. files a $30 million lawsuit. Alleged sexual assault, drug trafficking, and RICO violations. Claims he lived and traveled with Diddy. And a lot of this stuff happened. Constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping. Bro, what you touching my junk for? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize, Little Rod. I apologize, Diddy. Bro, quit touching my anus. That's what he says in the lawsuit. Force him to hire sex workers and participate in group sex. Claims there's hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings of illegal activity. Alleges Diddy covered up multiple shootings, including the 1999 New York nightclub shooting and September 12, 2022 shooting at Chalet Studios. I believe the 99 shooting Diddy did shot. And Jennifer Lopez, to me, she's a hoe in every negative sense if she helped cover up that. So Diddy's lawyers are calling it to be dismissed pure fiction. Not anymore. I don't think they're going to be dismissing that. 2024, Grace Omar K files a lawsuit. Sexual assault by Diddy's son. Claims that Diddy facilitated the assault. Like father, like father, like son. Son, like. Anyway, May 2020, that was April 2024. May 2024, Crystal McKinney files a lawsuit. Former model. Diddy drugged her and sexually assaulted her when she was 22. He was 34. He likes him young, a little Leonardo DiCaprio in him, huh? Well, not as bad. DiCaprio likes him in the early 20s. September 2024, Don Richard of Danity Kane files lawsuit. 21 counts of sexual assault and battery, sex trafficking, gender discrimination, and copyright infringement. Claims Diddy stole her work, withheld payment, and subjected her to inhumane working conditions for over a decade. If all this is true, Beelzebub is going, can't wait to see you, bro. If you don't know who Beelzebub is, look it up. That's disgraceful if you don't. So, in October 10th of this past year, Combs appeared in federal court. The trial date was discussed. His legal team asked for a motion or filed a motion accusing the government of leaking information to the media, including a 2016 video allegedly showing Combs assaulting Cassandra Cassie Ventura. They're desperate. And they could have a legal case. I don't know. When they're not attacking the substance, saying it's not true with, you shouldn't have released the fact that I beat on a woman. So lawyers requested an evidentiary hearing to investigate it. Prosecutors denied leaking the hotel security camera. In this case, they may have leaked it, but odds are it was somebody from the hotel who leaked it. If that's me, I'm working in the hotel, I'm making copies, putting it away. send it to the highest bidder. There's nothing, the only illegal thing is you stolen property from the hotel. That's it. I deal with that after somebody pays me $5 million for it. So on October 11th, Judge Arun Subramanian set the trial date for May 5th, 2025. And that means Diddy's going to be in jail until that long. He's going to face his charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution. And there's a chance that could be pushed back if either side requests more time and gives legitimate reasons. And in a case this big, that could happen. And to me, I'd say odds are it's probably likely going to happen, but maybe not. I know Diddy doesn't want to be in jail. He's using that baby oil, spinning that backside with his new hit. Pop! Uh, so as we all know, as you know by this point, he's been denied bail twice. He offered 50 million collateral. He's a flight risk. With charges this big, he is a flight risk. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So yes, I forgot to say his legal team appealed the decision and he was denied a second time. Probably been denied a third time since then. Who knows? So right now he's being held in a Brooklyn federal jail. He's on suicide watch. Supposedly that's just standard. I kind of believe that. It's standard procedure for new high-profile inmates, and Diddy is high profile. Like I said, that booty's gonna be riding high. Actually, I'm kidding. He will be safe and protected because he's gonna hire a couple of big thugs there. Bro, give you $1 million, make sure homeboy's wee wee doesn't get near me. Then again, based on what we're hearing through the rumorville, maybe he likes it. Who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to be funny, and I'm not. But the point is he's in a tough spot right now. The Metropolitan Detention Center is known for dangerous conditions and has a history of inmate suicides. And it's not confirmed that he's actually suicidal. I would say he's not. You know. So the latest that what I forgot to tell you in terms of his bond denial was they proposed a bond package that included weekly drug tests, no female visitors allowed. They're like, get the bleep out of here with that, bro. He's gonna break that. So I said, look up Buzzlebee. Is it Buzzlebee or Beelzebub? Trying to think. Beelzebub. That's it, Beelzebub. So look up Beelzebub if you don't know who that or what that is. But enter Tony Busby. May as well be Beelzebub in Diddy's eyes. He has a class action lawsuit and a lot of them. This is the guy, if you don't know, who handled like 32 of the women's cases that Deshaun Watson. Dear Lord. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. That guy, that's not how you pick up women, Deshaun. Oops, drop my towel. Oops, bending over. That's not how you pick up a woman, Deshaun Watson. And he settled out 300 million, 265 million to be exact. A lot of that money, I'm sure at least 10, 20 million have probably gone to these women. I'd say at least 30 million, probably. So, again, he's known as for handling high-profile cases. He announced over 100 lawsuits representing more than 120 individuals, and that number's gone up, as we'll get into here shortly. The lawsuits allege sexual assault, exploitation, and abuse over a span of 25 years, violent sexual assault or rape, facilitated sex with controlled substances, dissemination of video recordings of assaults. Now, here's the one that could land him in jail for a long time. And if he goes to jail for this, he may not get as much protection as he thinks. Sexual abuse of minors. The Latinos do not like the sexual abuse. They will target your ass in jail. The Latino gangs. So sexual abuse of minors, with some victims as young as 9 years old at the time of the alleged incidents. Again, all this is alleged. Victims claim to have been invited to events, given laced drinks, leading to blackouts, waking up with physical injuries consistent with assault. That's rape. Specific instances involve promises of career advancement in exchange for sexual acts. One minor allegedly forced into sexual acts under the pretense of a record deal. I have seen the abuse of power. I have, and it's terrible. It's terrible. Legal strategy and public reaction. So Busby, he has a co-counsel named Andrew Van Arsdale. They set up a hotline for potential victims. They call 911, call 1-900 Tony Busby. Uh, so they've received thousands of calls. So there are like a lot of people out there. I would wager 99.9% of them aren't true, but that 0.1% is. So, but here's another kicker. Busby has promised to name enablers, suggesting a network involved in these activities beyond Combs himself. And the rumor of Will, and there's been some stories out there talking about this, is that some celebrities have gone ahead and caught him. Bro, yeah, don't want my name getting out there. How much you looking for? Or any video you come across with me there, give me a call. Let's handle this on the down low first. Oh, okay. Whew. Again, the issue here is minors, with the youngest one being 9 years old at the time, claiming abuse, and it took place during an audition at Bad Boy Records in New York City. So, I mean, this guy, even if he gets out of this, going to have tons of lawsuits, And as I went to press with this yesterday, October 21st, I shouldn't say yesterday, but October 21st, 7 new civil lawsuits were filed against Combs in New York. And again, these lawsuits are part of the larger group of about 120 alleged victims represented by the Busby law firm. Some of the tidbits here: a woman alleging sexual assault at age 13 in 2000 at an MTV Video Music Awards after party. She claims Combs, who was 30, she's 13, 30. That's 17-year difference. And an unnamed male celebrity. They're holding that one. Right now you're, what's that mean with sweat coming out down there from that unnamed male celebrity, if true, assaulted her while an unnamed female celebrity watched. Oh my God. It's like you can't make this up. This will be adapted into a miniseries. It's just too much to be put into a 2-hour movie. Another one is an independent female rapper, producer alleging Combs drugged and raped her at a gathering in 2022. So that was recent. A Los Angeles businessman accusing Combs of sexual assault during a Chirac promotional party in 2022. Mm. There's one, a male personal trainer claiming assault by Combs at an award show after party around 2022, and witnessing group sexual activities involving high profile celebrities. You know, he must have had bodyguards or people around him. I can tell you now, as a sailor, he done this like anywhere where there's sailors at, they would have beat his ass. And once the guns come out, everybody scatters. But they would not have. There's none else. And again, maybe they fall under the 12-year-old question, or 8 years old, when you're like, would you do a BJ if they gave you $1 million? I mean, who knows? Money talks. So, a woman claiming assault by Combs at a Las Vegas party on Memorial Day 2014. Oh, anyway, back to the male personal trainer. I was at an award show after party around 2022 and witnessing group sexual activities involving high profile celebrities at a Combs Hollywood Hills residence. Former college student alleging assault after the band promotional photo shoot when she was 19. An unspecified 7th lawsuit. So the firm plans to file weekly cases against Combs as they gather more evidence. This is devastating. Oh my God, devastating. Oh, oh my God. I mean, let's be clear. Tony Busby is the new Gloria Allred, is what it sounds like. So what? So let's do a quick analysis and legacy and the cultural impact of all this. So this case exemplifies the intersection of celebrity power, and alleged criminal behavior. There's no bigger celebrity right now than Diddy. He's a very powerful multi-billionaire music mogul. And obviously there's alleged criminal behavior involved. This highlights the potential discrepancies between evolving social norms and existing laws. And what does that mean? That means that we're in a new era. I mean, you look at these TikTokers with the Menendez brothers, they don't care that they murdered 2 people. Before I go on, I want to say violence begets violence, hate begets hate. And I told this to my friends when I was back home a couple years ago. I said that hate begets hate, violence begets violence. And we're discussing the BLM Summer of Love. And I said, That was over 2 billion in damages. People were murdered. People were maimed. People were hurt, and it was condoned. Both black and white liberals and progressives supporting it, and the Democrats encouraging it. I warned them. I said, "This is going to come back. Once you open the door to violence like that, the conservatives won't do much. I mean, we are a law and order type people, but I guarantee you, there's going to be others." What do you mean others? And I said, a man once told me, Tom Del Beccaro, that the border is a national security issue, but it's also an issue of violence, gang members, MS-13. We saw all that. Violence is coming. And sure enough, Chicago, New York City, LA, San Francisco, Aurora, these gangs, they're taking out black civilians in a lot of these major cities, Latinos in the Aurora section, a lot of people who supported the BLM violence. Once you open the door, that's what happens. And I'm getting to my point. But my point to him was those politicians who you think are your friends, they're not. All they care about is power and financial enrichment. And you were a tool to those means. And now that it's happening to you, they don't care. They don't care how many, they don't care that you're black and they're black. They don't care that you're like me, Latino, and they're Latino. They don't. They don't. So be careful with this take here. The discrepancies between evolving social norms, which is the essence of this type of violence, and existing laws, meaning the laws are secondary, the justification of, hey, he's a big star. Because there are people who saying that. Look at Bill Cosby. He had a lot of defenders. You defend that, it will eventually come back to bite you in the tush. Mark my words. But we're at a point, and I believe it'll turn against Diddy. Because once that evidence starts mounting up, it's vile. There's a case, we're going to do some true crime, and there's a case from the 70s. No, 80s, 70s, 80s, yeah, 80s. Mother murdered, tortured, and murdered her two daughters. A third one tried to tell the world what was happening. Nobody believed her until the body surfaced, and then she finally told a cop when she saw it in the news. The cop said, "Let's talk," because what she said in the bodies, they were just too close. Turns out it was all true. So that my point is there are some vile people. When you actually look at what these people do, you're like, oh my god, oh my god. So this also okay. So this raises questions about the hidden realities behind public personas in the music industry. You have your public image, and then you have who you are in real life. That's very common. Anybody remember Mommy Dearest and Faye Dunaway? Not Faye Dunaway. She was actress who played her. Mommy Dearest and oh my God, why am I drawing? I remember Joan Crawford, big time mega movie star in her day. Mega shows how fleeting fame is. So all these things are coming to a fruition, are coming to a head here, and that's what this case is going to probably be one of the most watched since O.J. Simpson if they televise it. So for some of the celebrities, PR experts say, shut up, don't say a word. That's your best option. And that's what they're doing. But not all. Kid Cudi and Meek Mill. Kid Cudi reportedly had a brief relationship with Cassie Ventura and was targeted by Diddy, supposedly. An arson attack on his car. That was confirmed by Coodie's team. Meek Mill denied rumors of sexual involvement with Diddy. That's the one with the video, the audio. Yeah, daddy. It was like, ooh. If you're straight, you're like, oh. But that's poor guy's taking a lot of pieces. I don't know if it's true, but it's terrible. The man's married with kids. But again, you got the public persona, you got the people in private. So who knows? Khloe Kardashian attended one of Diddy's parties in 2014. She said half the people, quote, half the people there were butt naked. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they've been friends with since the early 2000s. They bonded over the MTV, his prank show. In 2019, in an interview, Kutcher was like, "Oh, I got great Diddy party." Can't tell that. Can't tell that. Can't tell. I mean, he's laughing about it. Not laughing so much now. He was a host of these white parties. Now the white parties were harmless until the kids left. You know, so right. So he's obviously distanced himself. His career's not done, but it's taken a massive hit, and maybe it is at this point. I mean, people have their peaks, and he peaked a while ago. So, and they also faced backlash for supporting Danny Masters. Man, I was crushed. Man, I was like, no, not that 70 show. I love that whole gang, but it is what it is. Jennifer Lopez, who I've lost all respect for, dated Diddy from '99 to 2001, involved supposedly hiding his gun. Uh, Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember, just because you have pictures at the party doesn't mean I'm not defending it. But Leonardo DiCaprio is a dog, great actor, but a dog and a leftist hypocrite. Climate change, man. That's his woo, his plane. All those carbon emissions. But he was described as the number one guest at Diddy's white party. Sources say DiCaprio has been associated with Diddy for years, and I can see that. You know, Jay-Z and Beyonce, longstanding friends and collaborators, they're the ones who may have a lot to lose. It'll be interesting what happens, what stories come out. And they've been notably silent. So they're plotting. Usher, here's the thing with Usher. He met Diddy at 15, lived with him, and he described the experiences as eye-opening. But he told Howard Stern in 2016 he wouldn't send his own children to Puffy camp. Then he lied. His whole social media history on X disappeared after Diddy's arrest. And he said, I was hacked. You don't get hacked and your account goes away. You get hacked and crap shows up on your account. He's been quiet about all this. Justin Bieber, he's out. We've all seen him connected. We saw that video where Diddy's patting him, checking for that mic there before he talks to him. So he's expressed being disgusted and he's been advised to distance himself. He's a family kid now, family guy now. Stephen Baldwin's daughter, Haley Bieber now, or Haley Baldwin at the time. They just had a kid. So his whole focus, that kid is messed up in the head. I've seen his interviews, his body language. I've read a couple books on body language. That kid is messed up, insecure. You can just see it. And then he did open up about his struggles with fame, addiction, and mental health. So other celebrities, Don Richard, formerly Danity Kane, Keisha, pop singer, songwriter, 50 Cent, Soulja Boy is a rapper, Damone Dash. So the general sentiment is outright condemnation, distancing themselves, expressions of I've been betrayed, calls for accountability, painting a picture of this is I've been disillusioned. So that's a lot of information I've just given you, lots of process, and I've just given you the surface. This is like you're going to see movies made about this for years, for the next 20 years. Then, as it always happens, everything dies away. When's the last time you saw an Al Capone movie? The last good one was in the 1980s with Kevin Costner. And he's still remembered and still see cameo here or there, his character in a movie here or there. But everything has its day and times. But for the next 20 years, we're going to hear a lot about Diddy. So, again, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in history and Diddy in his career. He faces federal indictment on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and the creation of a criminal enterprise. There's your racketeering. There's your organized crime. Diddy's legacy is now shadowed by allegations of abuse, coercion, and systemic exploitation, and the abuse of his power over others. So this is the legal battle that's been set. Fall from grace from one of hip hop's most influential figures, not to mention the Tupac Shakur. That's been opened back up too. So, with all these revelations, court proceedings on the horizon, the full scope of Diddy's current situation promises to unfold in ways that could redefine his narrative in the annals of music industry. Stay tuned. I, William Del Pilar, your Latino conservative, the ex-sailor who knows all and sees all, will be on hand to break this developing story. We are just touching the tip of this. We're going to explore the depths of celebrity power and accountability in the entertainment industry as his trial goes on. And there you have it, my friends. Do not forget, you can check out this podcast, The Red, White, and Rude, at grumblingsmedia.com, as well as our social media platforms. Rumble, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, y Pandora under the handle Grumblings Media. Do not forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this podcast as well as my other ones, Fired Up and Points on the Board and all our other podcasts. So, thank you for listening. And until next time, I am William Del Pilar. This is the Red, White, and Rude, and I bid you adieu.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.